I'm excited to present on this topic with you all. It's probably one of my favorites to personally present on. And it's all about making your first impression count. And we're going to talk about that in multiple ways today. So our 3 goals for our workshop for today are to talk about online image, so your social media and what impacts that can have on you, especially during the hiring process, your in-person image, so professional dress, and then our new program that we're starting here in our office, so Azul's attire. So I do always like to ask for a lot of participation within my presentations. So please feel free to use the chat and let me know what percentage of employers do you think check social media of applicants as part of the hiring screening process? Okay, all. So 80, 50%. Okay, so we're getting close. Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that it is 70%. So 70% of employers do check social media as part of the screening process. And all of these statistics that I'm going to be telling you today as part of the social media part of the presentation are all from kind of a survey from Human Resources Director magazine that they did in 2020 with employers across the board and about their hiring practices, what they look for, pros, cons, all that good stuff. So I hope that it's pretty beneficial for you today. All right, so what percentage of employers have discovered content on social media that caused them to not hire a candidate? 66, 90. Oh, wow, that's a big one. Okay, 71, 75, 50. That's close. It's actually 57%. So over half of employers that choose to look at social media as part of their screening process have found something that caused them to not hire a candidate. And this could be their top candidate. It could be someone in their top 3. We're not exactly sure of which number they were in the process, but we at least know that they found something that was a red flag for them. Now, what percentage of employers said they wouldn't call a person for an interview if they can't find them online? So this would be, kind of answering to that notion that a lot of people have of, well, I just won't have a Facebook, I won't have an Instagram, I won't have a LinkedIn, and then it kind of erases the problem for me. So I see 75, 20, 40. That's so close. It's actually 47%. So almost half of the employers that use this practice, so that if they can't find someone online, then they may not bring them in for an interview, or they wouldn't call them in for an interview. So we're going to be talking today about maybe some ways to have an online presence and a positive online presence so that we can really stand out to these employers and make sure that we're getting called in. So thank you for that participation. And now I want to move on to what are they looking for, right? So we can see from their survey that over half of these companies or employers that are looking on social media are looking for information on candidates' job qualifications. So maybe they're looking to see if you had an internship, right? Maybe you posted some pictures from your internship. Maybe they want to see some volunteer experiences, or maybe you posted on there about a certification that you received. You wanted family, friends to celebrate the certification that you received. So they're looking for hints for that. Half of them are looking for what your online persona is. So who are you projecting yourself to be online? 34% are looking at what are other people online or netizens saying about you. If you think about LinkedIn, there's a reference feature on there. So are people writing good things about you? What are people maybe posting on what we used to call a wall on Facebook? What are people maybe commenting on your pictures on Instagram? What does that kind of look like for you? And then 22% are actively seeking out any reason not to hire the candidate. And that statistic is a little low. So I just want to preface this by saying that while employers are looking at your social media to find out a little bit more about you, they're not always looking for red flags. While some companies may be, the vast majority are really just looking to see who you are and find out any other, credentials or anything that may make you more marketable or hireable for their position. So let's start off with the bad, right? Like what would cause an employer to not hire someone? So that can be a variety of things. The top ones are really inappropriate photos, videos, or maybe information. So if we know that we're not in a state that maybe has, legal drug use, right? And you have maybe drugs in a picture on Facebook, that's not going to do well for you, right? And that goes into the 36% that are specifically looking for maybe that drinking or drug use. Inappropriate photos could also be if you have, maybe you're not clothed appropriately or something like that on your social media. Any discriminatory comments, this is a big one related to race, gender, religion, or other issues or identities. This is huge because we want to make sure that our workplaces are diverse and inclusive. So if you're going to go against that, then that could be a hindrance for your hiring. Any information linked to criminal behavior, lying about your qualifications. So please don't do that in any capacity. I promise you they will find out even if they don't look at your social media. Or communication skills. So are you constantly posting about how you're having problems with people, maybe problems with your job? A lot of people have this viewpoint of, instead of posting about it, why not go and communicate with that person and talk about the issue? And that goes into bad mouthing previous employer or fellow employee. So if you're posting really negative things about other people, that can definitely be a hindrance. Having an unprofessional screen name, especially on Instagram or maybe Twitter. Shared confidential information from a previous employer. So with a lot of employers, you may have to sign what's called an NDA or a non-disclosure agreement. So they're really looking for, are you sharing anything that maybe you're not supposed to be? Lying about an absence. So if you go and post on Facebook and you're like, ha ha ha, called out sick today, but I'm actually not sick, I'm at the beach, LOL, that's not going to look good for you. And then posting frequently on social media, I'm not sure I completely agree with this one, but if you're posting literally every 30 minutes, I think they're going to start questioning about, are you actually working? Like, we see you had a job from this time frame. What's kind of going on? They want to make sure that you're not going to be posting on company time unless that's part of your position. Now let's talk about the positives, right? Like, what can help an employer hire you, right? Like, what can help convince them that you are the perfect person? And that can be anything supporting your job qualifications. So when you get a certification or you do something awesome, maybe you get an award, post about that on social media, let people celebrate you. And of course, when they see that, it's only going to do you good. Your creativity is another one. If you take really creative pictures, maybe on Instagram, that can help you out. Or even let's think about TikTok these days, right? Being really creative, especially with your transitions, that can be helpful. If your site maybe conveys a professional image, that of course can be helpful. Showing candidates wide range of interests, showing them that you're a person, of course. If you have animals, post about those. Showing that you're a good fit within the company culture. Maybe you post something about your values and maybe they match up with that company. Having great communication skills. So if they can see that you are communicating effectively with other people. Any awards or accolades, other people posting good things about you is also a great thing. So think about that LinkedIn reference, or even if you have a feed of birthday posts, potentially, if someone is really talking highly of you, or maybe they tag you in something that you're doing in your current job, interaction with the company's social media accounts. So if you're following them on social media, that's a great sign. A compelling video or other content, as well as a large number of social media followers or subscribers. That's more big if you're going into maybe a marketing or communication role where you would be in charge of something over social media. So showing that you can get that engagement is big. So you may be wondering, oh my goodness, what does my social media look like right now? How do I know if it's good or not? And how do I know if I need to improve? And so I want to kind of go through these main things with you. So methods to find your online image. First and foremost, Google your name. I know that sounds so funny. Hopefully you've all tried to Google your name before. I can tell you that with my maiden name, all you're going to find is like old volleyball statistics. They're not good. I mean, if you want to look them up, you totally can. Or you'll find like random awards or old presentations I made on Prezi, things like that. If we think about my current name, my married name, I've Googled that recently, and apparently I'm a doctor in Texas. So I haven't really made a name for myself yet with my married name. Maybe have someone review your social media as well. Ask a friend, or maybe someone that you trust that is maybe a parent or guardian, and say, hey, do you think my social media is okay? Like, do you think it's cool? What's kind of going on there? And I typically always tell people to follow the rule of thumb of would you say or show it to your grandma? Would that post that you're about to post make her feel some type of way that's maybe not great? So try to think it almost about from that perspective. And I know that a lot of times this can make us feel like, well, Hannah, that's not fair. How can I be my authentic self if I can't post about everything that I do? Like, I should be able to post about that party I went to last weekend, or I should be able to post pictures holding drinks with my friends. I get it. I totally do, right? We want to be authentic. We want to be able to share every part of our lives. But when we think about authenticity with professionalism, you don't have to lose yourself, but we can't always show everything that we do. So, constantly showing partying, clubbing, all those things is not going to do well in terms of your own brand. Sometimes I know it can feel like we're constantly maybe being watched or that you can't do what you want, but the reality is that people are watching and what we do reflects on the company that we work for. So we have to be conscious of that, right? Our personal brand affects our company brand. And I know a lot of people, we all feel like, well, this should be separate, right? And it's not always that way. If we think about, and I'll show you some examples later, but even if we think about TikToks, right? People may post something controversial on TikTok, and we know how fast people are quick to go and email their employers and say, so-and-so posted this and it's not okay. And see, there's not always that separation. So we're really trying to encourage you to protect yourself and think about what you post before it's too late. Can you maybe think of any examples where someone didn't get hired or got fired over a social media post in kind of the recent news, like maybe over the last couple of years? I think I can think of even some personal examples off the top of my head from people I know where they've gotten fired from maybe posting about something. So I just want to give you kind of some examples that I found in recent media over the last couple of years, right? So a Harvard grad says that they lost their Deloitte job over a TikTok stab threat, right? And if you don't know about Deloitte, Deloitte is one of the top accounting companies. Definitely, right? Lost a really good experience over something that when you hear about her videos later and what she posted, was like, it was a joke. I didn't even mean it, but she lost it. And so that's why we don't want to go around joking about causing other people harm, because it's not always a joke to other people, right? And we know that our tone and voice don't always come across in comments and things like that. And even thinking about a nurse who bragged about breaking COVID-19 rules on TikTok lost her job, right? I think we're seeing that kind of a lot lately. So just know that it's definitely something that can happen. And I just want to give you the tools to be prepared so that it won't happen to you. So in terms of do that, I want you to be selective and really ask questions of yourself. So questions to ask yourself before posting. Think about your company's values, those missions. Even if you don't work there yet, look up the company's values, missions, vision, all of those things before you start applying. That'll honestly help you in the interview as well. But if you're going through application processes, think about, will this post reflect negatively on the company that I work for? Is there any way that I could potentially get backlash from this? Can this post be taken out of context? Am I being clear in what I mean? What could happen? So kind of evaluate those sides of things. Could this post cause harm to others? Especially thinking about the Harvard grad who kind of threatened to stab somebody. So that is an example of a threat that could cause harm. Is this a picture I would put in my office? And with the caveat that my boss's 5-year-old child could walk in and see it. Is it a picture you would want a 5-year-old to see? Does this go against my company's mission and values? And does this go against a code of ethics? So if we think about a lot of social science or humanities jobs, we have, think about being a counselor, a therapist, any of those things. We have a certain code of ethics that we have to follow. So does it go against any of those? Posts you may want to avoid: unprofessional photos, so drugs, alcohol, nudity, all those things are kind of red flags, right? Complaining about a job or company, that's a big one, because if you complain about one, you're likely to complain about them. And then offensive language. So if we're dropping F-bombs right after one another on a post, that just doesn't really seem professional. And just keep in mind that posts can always be shared via screen recordings, screenshots, and etc. So even if you regret that post 2 hours later, you don't know how many times it's been screen recorded or screenshotted and could have easily already been sent to your employers. I know that it can be really tempting to complain on avenues like TikTok or your Instagram story, but be prepared for any consequences that can occur from that. And if you're feeling stuck, change your stuff to private, but please do not create private accounts like Finstas. I don't even know if those are still around. Those were really big, especially when I was in my later part of undergrad and grad school, but don't create fake Instagrams to make fun of other people. That's just not kind. Ensure your accounts are on private mode. That'll help you out a little bit, but you never know who might turn on you. So just keep that in mind as well. Find a person that you can trust that's unaffiliated with your company to air your grievances with. Find a friend that has nothing to do with your company that you can talk about all of your issues with, and then allow yourself to still take pictures with alcohol or with your friends, but keep them for personal memories. Put them in your room at home, put them in your house, keep them in your phones. It kind of sends each other back and forth over the years that come, but don't always feel like you have to post those. And then let LinkedIn be your online image. Really, this is such a professional platform that you can really let yourself shine. So making sure that we put in some good taglines. We have a great summary statement. You can even put in media. So maybe you've been designing things, put that in there. You can see a recommendation section on here. That's where past employers, past coworkers, whoever it may be, may want to write a recommendation about you so that other employers can see that. And you can also input your career interests. If you're job searching or internship searching, that can be really helpful as well, because it'll actually create listings for jobs for you every single day. So that's super helpful. But let this be your online image over everything else. Keep everything else private. Now, if you don't have anything at all, if you're one of those people that fall into that kind of 47% of not being seen, we'll at least create a LinkedIn, and our office can definitely help you with that if you're needing any assistance. Okay, we have some really great handouts, and we also do LinkedIn reviews and just some action steps. So if you're sitting here and you're like, oh my goodness, I know I need to clean this up, I know I need to. So just a reminder to remove any unprofessional pictures from those public accounts. Go ahead and change those privacy settings. Get rid of your Finsta if you have one. Remove any negative content, and post positive professional accomplishments. It's not too late to start doing that. Go ahead and do it today and kind of get the ball rolling on creating your own brand and your own professional image online so that you can get into an interview and get hired at the job that you really want. So now let's talk about your first impression in person. So we covered online, if you have a company that's going to look at your social media, but now let's talk about, what if I'm going into an interview or a career fair? What does that look like for me? How do you know whether to dress business casual or business professional for a job interview? Like, how are you supposed to know that? You may have some companies that send you an email, right, when they invite you to interview, and they may say, you know what, Hannah, you can dress business casual for this interview. And you know what, you may choose to do that, right? Dress business casual, but maybe you dress on the dressier end of it, right? But if you're not sure, we should always dress business professional. Okay? And we're going to talk about what that means in a minute. So how should you dress for a career fair? Should you dress more business casual or should you dress business professional? So even if we think about all of these people sitting at the table, right? They're at a career fair, actually. If you're familiar with The Office, that's my favorite show. But if we think about Daryl, who's on the far left, and then we see Oscar, and then Pam, and then Michael. Who's dressed the best for a career fair? Personally, for me, I would agree that it's Oscar. I would agree that it is him because he's wearing either what we can see looks like maybe a sport coat or a suit jacket, right? We're not really sure exactly which one. I think he's wearing a suit, but he's dressed the best, right, for that career fair. Not Michael Scott, I agree. But Daryl looks fine too, right? So if you don't have maybe a suit jacket, then it would be okay to show up with a tie and a button down. Okay, but if you have the jacket, it can make things look a lot better and a little more business professional. So let's kind of break down what that even means. So if we look at this slide, just as like a quick reference for these things, right? So if we think about more of a feminine approach, when we think about business professional, we want to at least brush our hair that day, right? We want our hair to look pretty nice. We want to wear solid colors on the outside, just across the board for business professional. We really tend to go with black, navy, gray. You can wear like khaki or beige, but typically the darker colors. And just as kind of a rule of thumb, if you sweat a lot, I know we're in Florida, you may want to go for the darker colors so that it doesn't show that sweat. Underneath, you're going to want to wear a light colored shirt. I typically tell people to think about baby showers. Light pink or light blue is typically the most popular. You could do a light yellow, maybe a light green. So that's typically, but white is what people most prefer, white or light blue. Your shoes. We want your shoes to be closed-toed. We want them to be shined if they're that type of material. Dark socks, a conservative tie. Even over here, a blazer is what you need. Your belt needs to match your shoes if you're going to wear a belt. And then slacks are also appropriate. Now, when we think about business casual, a lot of times, depending on the industry, you can wear a polo, but most times it's going to be a collared shirt, like a button down. You just don't have to wear a tie really in business casual. You could wear, some chinos. You could wear slacks that are khaki, or we typically stick with neutral colors. You could wear a skirt. So there's a lot of options there. We've created a Dress for Success guide in our office that we're happy to share. It should be located on our website soon, and we can send that out. But it goes through every single piece of dressing professionally for feminine, masculine, and non-binary. Okay, so we want to make sure that you all know how to dress for success in the best way possible. But the key pieces are the outside shell, being in kind of those darker neutral colors, inside being the lighter colors, wearing a tie, closed-toed shoes, making sure they're shined, a belt, all those things, okay? And I want to leave you with this quote of your smile is your logo, okay? So thinking about the first thing people will typically see from you, well, when we're not in mask world. So maybe if it's over Zoom, but your smile is your logo, right? The first thing people see. Your personality is your business card. So it's what you hand off. It's what people can kind of remember you by. It's that little piece that they take away, and how you leave others feeling after an experience with you becomes your trademark. And a lot of times that's something that you can't get back. So I know that we can always be in kind of mood sometimes, or maybe not feeling the best, but we really do have to put our best foot forward to make the best first impression so that we can be successful in these positions and new opportunities. So if you're ever curious what's happening, events that are going on, follow us on social media. So our Instagram, it's popping. We're always posting stuff on there, as well as our Facebook. And our YouTube channel has all of our great noon Zooms on it, as well as other opportunities that you may want to check out. So if you're doing your resume at 3 o'clock in the morning, obviously we're asleep, but you can check out our YouTube, and there's a lot of great tips on there. So feel free to like, follow, share any of our content that you want, and get the word out, because we're here to help you at any point.